Good morning everybody and welcome back to the office. Today's episode is going to be different to any I've done in recent times, and to be honest I've not really done one like this at all, and I'm very excited because today I am starting an experiment. This is not a series or anything that I'm going to bail out on or anything like that. Everything that's going to happen is going to happen in this video, so do like and subscribe to the channel if you like this sort of content, because I'm going to find out what is better for my electronics. So let's go take a look. Just in case you're new to the channel, by the way, I am a full-time eBay, for the moment, reseller. So I buy stuff mostly secondhand, sometimes brand new, and I sell it on eBay. That's how I pay my bills, and that's how I survive in the expensive world of the United Kingdom. A lot of the stuff that I sell is vacuum cleaners and electronics. So here we are. This is all my vacuum cleaners currently. Ignore this stuff. This is stuff that is not currently listed, and it's actually on the wrong shelf. So yes, but here we are, some more vacuum cleaners and stuff like that. And then if we go, some dolls there. If we look more incoming electronics. Okay, so here we are. So we've got a lot of kitchen equipment, coffee machines, TVs, and all that sort of stuff is here in my storage waiting to sell. Now all of this stuff is listed on eBay and it's a good seller, but it's slow, especially right now. Everyone is struggling as far as I can tell on eBay. Just sales aren't that great. I don't know whether everyone's on holiday or no one's got any money, or whether it's the economy or the government or what it is. I don't know, but we all have a problem, and that problem is stuff is not selling as fast as it should be, or as fast as we would like. So today the experiment is simple. Now that Vinted, and if you haven't heard about Vinted, it's a newer selling platform, have started to allow heavier and bigger items, especially electronics. So stuff like vacuum cleaners and kitchen equipment, kettles, toasters, and as far as I'm aware, blenders and stuff like that are now permitted on Vinted. I don't know the full list, but we're going to go have a look at the computer, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to move everything over, because all I'm going to be moving over, by the way, in today's video is the electronics. So all of my electronics that are on eBay are now going to be moved over to Vinted, and then I'm going to wait a week, and then I'm going to come back in this video and I'm going to share with you the details. How many electronics did I sell in the same time on eBay as on Vinted, because that is the key metric. Not how many sell on Vinted, but how many sell compared to eBay. Now, bearing in mind, my eBay is well established. I've sold 12,000 items over there. I have 3,800 positive reviews on eBay. My account is 11 years old. Only been really full-time on there since 2019. However, my Vinted account, I've probably sold about 30 items on total since I signed up for that about 2 years ago. I maybe have 30 reviews on there, so the account is way less, what's the word, not successful, but less established. Let's go with that word. The Vinted account is way less established than the eBay one. So if we can come anywhere close to the amount of sales in a week that we get on eBay in terms of the electronics, that is going to be fantastic news, and that is going to be an experiment worth doing and going forward with. So yeah, the only problem I'm going to have is when one thing sells on one platform, I have to quickly delist it on the other one, because at the end of the day, and I'm just going to be frank, and sorry if you work at Vinted, but eBay is more important. So if something sells on eBay and on Vinted at the same time, the person that bought it on eBay is getting the item, because I'm punished way more for not shipping an eBay item than I would be a Vinted. Now maybe that will change going forward, but until people feel the same about their Vinted account as they do their eBay account in terms of which one is more important for longevity, people are always going to ship the eBay one first. But hopefully that doesn't happen, because I am going to make sure that I'm delisting as they sell. So if one sells on eBay, I'll delist on Vinted, and vice versa. So we're going to jump on the computer, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to move everything over, because it shouldn't take me too long to do so. And then I just got to wait, basically, and then we can find out exactly how this is going to go. Right, I'll be right back. Alright, so hopefully you can see this okay. So this is obviously my computer screen right here. I've turned off the screen tint. I normally have an orangey hue tint, so that's quite hard to see. However, here I am. I'm on crosslist.com. This is what I'm going to be using to move all of my sales, all of my listings I want over to Vinted. So what I want to do first, I have my my account here on Vinted logged in. I only have one pair of shoes listed currently, so just ignore those. So what I want to do is I've signed up to crosslist.com. I've got my account and everything. I've signed in to eBay on here because it needs you to do that so that it can import your listings. But I'm going to go up here, hopefully you can see, to the import button right at the top. I'm going to click that, and here you'll see all of the websites that you can cross-list between. So we have Poshmark, Mercari, eBay, Depop, Facebook, Etsy, Vinted, good, Whatnot, that's gaining popularity in the UK and in America as well, Grailed, Shopify, and Starlove, whatever that is. I've literally never heard of that. But what we want to do is go to eBay, because this is going to drag in all of my listings. It's going to load up all of my listings from my eBay account. However, it's not going to obviously use up your amount yet, because you only import the ones that you click. Okay, so when you sign up, it will ask you how many you're going to want to import, and you can sign up to whichever amount you need. So I'm going to go through this. It's going to take me a while because I want to filter out all the stuff I don't want here. So it's only going to list, it's only going to bring in, I'm going to change this to 100 per page just so I can do 100 at a time. So I'm going to have 20 pages to go through, yeah, so I'm going to go through and click all of the ones that I want to bring over. So all of the vacuum cleaners, all of the vacuum cleaner parts, all of the kettles, coffee machines, all of that good stuff I'm going to bring over to Vinted. Now, I don't know exactly what is on the banned list. When I say banned list, there is some sort of stuff that that Vinted will not accept. So for example, I think blenders before was not allowed, but I'm not sure whether they've changed that rule yet. As far as I'm aware, you still can't sell those, but I'm going to try, and when it goes to upload it, it will just give me an error message if that's not the case, or it will just delist it for me on Vinted. So it's not like I'm going to get banned or shut down or anything if I do list something by accident that is not allowed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go through and click everything that's vacuum or electronic related, even the parts. So here I've got some vacuum cleaner parts like hoses and brush heads and stuff like that. Even those I'm gonna select as well, because I want those to all be sent over, which is great. I'm also gonna do the Mathmos lava lamp. I think that could do pretty well. Right, we've done one page, and now I'm going to click import. So that was 37 listings. What this will do is it will then grab those ones and it will put them onto my Crosslist account, and then after I've gone through all of my listings and done this, which I'll show you in a minute, we can then tell them where to send it to. So ask me, where do I want these listings to be duplicated to, at which point I'm going to click Vinted, and it's going to open up a load of pages, and it's going to one by one list them over on Vinted for me, and it will only take maybe 5 minutes to do all of them. Sometimes things crop up on individual listings I have to go in and just check. So for example, like the weight of an item, some things will crop up at some point and I'll just have to go in and amend it, and then it will list it. But it is super quick. If you were doing this individually, you're going to be here for weeks, but I'm going to get this all done in about 20 minutes, half an hour. So I'm going to stop filming, and then once I've gone through my 1,000 listings and selected the ones I want to upload, we will come back and I'll show you me then posting them onto Vinted, and then I'll show them popping up on my Vinted account so you can see them. And then of course we will come back with the results in about 5 to 7 days time and see between eBay and Vinted who did better with the electronics, because I've heard some really good things with Vinted and electronics currently. So I will be back in just a minute. A little bit of an update. It's taken me about 5-10 minutes just to go through all of my listings on here, 950 in total, and I've just uploaded the last 9. So if we go to our inventory now, sorry, I can't say that word properly. Here we are, we've got 175 items that I have moved from eBay onto the Crosslist profile. By the way, if you want to sign up for this or test it out for your listings that you want to move over, if you use the link in the description or code SLOTH in all capital letters at checkout, you'll get 30% off. And you will be able to crack on like this. So here we are. Let's set this to 100. We're going to do 100 at a time, which is the max amount you can send over. So if we do, actually bulk post up here might allow me to do all of them actually. So no, it doesn't do that. So let me select 100. Bulk delist, so that is if you have them on a platform and you don't want them on a platform. Basically you can manage everything from here. So what's going to happen, it's going to tell you here origin. It was originally listed on eBay, it is currently listed on eBay. So if I had this on, let's say eBay, Vinted, Depop, Mercari, I'd have all the 4 logos here, and then I could select them all and go, you know what, I'm not doing Depop anymore, bulk delist. It will then ask you what platform to delist it on. You could select all of them, 1 of them, 2 of them, etc., and then it would delist on that platform or wherever. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bulk post 100 listings. It's now going to ask me where I want to do that, in which case I'm going to do Vinted over here, because of course that is the whole plan for today's video. Again, still don't know what Star Love is. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments below. Right, as you can see, it is picking up everything that is missing, which is quite a lot on these. Right, just popping in real quick, I'm currently editing the video, as you can see right here, but I have a little note to add to this part of the video, because at the time I was very confused and I didn't really know what was happening. So obviously I was using Crosslist to move stuff over to Vinted, but as you can see, when I went to go move them over, they all had an error message, and I had to go in and what I did at the time was manually change all of the postage to 2 kilograms, which was the wrong thing to do. What I actually had to do was go in and update the subcategory for the item, because for whatever reason Vinted wasn't automatically filling in the subcategory. It was picking up that the items were vacuum cleaners and blenders and stuff, but it was not adding that to the thing, which then allowed for the full weight of the postage, if that makes sense. So I was going in manually putting the max, which for a normal parcel on Vinted was 2 kilograms, which is not right. So now I know, so I thought I would add this into the video because it gives a little bit of context to why I had to cut out a load of this video, because I did like a 10-minute rant about Vinted only allowing 2 kilograms, even though they now allow vacuum cleaners, but they don't. They now allow up to 30 kilograms. I just was being stupid at the time and didn't realize it. So if you get these errors, just know that when you go in to edit the error, you just have to type in the box vacuum and it will come up with a vacuum subcategory, and when you click that, it allows up to 30 kilograms. So yeah, that makes more sense with this being inserted in. So a bit of video inception going on, but back to the video. Alright, welcome back. A little bit of an update. So it's been a while since I started uploading stuff. I've had some lunch, I've picked some orders which I need to ship out today. There was an issue, and it wasn't with Crosslist, it was with Vinted. As you can see, I've just got the last few things. We're on 67 of 68 of the last couple that are being uploaded here, and as you can see here, I now have 164 of my items currently listed out of about 170. So yeah, they're all up pretty much on Vinted, which is fantastic. So now we just have to wait and see, is anyone going to bite the bullet? Is anyone going to buy my stuff on Vinted? It's going to be really interesting to see. I'm going to give it 5 or 6 days, maybe a week. But there we go. Now it's just a waiting game. So I will be back as soon as something happens and I'll give you an update. Maybe loads of stuff will sell today, I'm not sure. Maybe nothing will happen, maybe crickets. And at the end of this video I'll be like, that was a waste of time. But we'll see. If anything interesting happens, I'll come back before the end, and then obviously at the end I'll give you a rundown how much is sold on eBay and how much is sold on Vinted. Right, now we just wait. It is Monday, so it's been a few days. A little bit of an update on the whole Vinted eBay versus situation. Yeah, interesting. So I've sold 2 things on Vinted. However, I have been declining a lot of offers, which obviously a lot of people may be accepting. But just because, you know, they're on both platforms doesn't mean I need to accept all the offers. However, 2 good sales have come through. So I have actually sold 2 vacuum cleaners so far, and I'm gonna just show you the values on the screen right now so you can see them. They've not shipped yet. I've just printed out the labels. They've both gone through Royal Mail, so it's going to be interesting to see if they accept them, because if they don't, I will have to cancel the orders obviously because of the weights and stuff, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. So we sold a Miele here for £120 and a Dyson for $55.99. Now bear in mind, if you buy a month's membership to crosslist.com with my code capital letters SLOTH, you're going to get 30% off, and it will cost you about £16 to £20, I believe, somewhere around that mark with the discount code. So I've just sold £180 odd worth of stuff in 2 sales on Vinted. So that's well and truly paid for, which is fantastic. So I will be back obviously once more stuff happens, but I'm going to try and get these shipped out in a few days time. They don't need to go out for a while, and I've got eBay stuff to catch up with, so these will be a little bit delayed compared to what I'm shipping for eBay, but that is okay. Now let me tell you something that happened, and it happened probably within an hour of all my listings getting sent over to Vinted. Now I don't know whether this is a coincidence, however, let me just read you out 2 days, 3 days worth of eBay sales before the day I listed on Vinted, and then I'll tell you what I've done on eBay since, and you can tell me whether this is a coincidence, because I've not changed anything else, or whether eBay knows that I'm now cross-listing, so they're making sure I sell more stuff. So before I listed on Vinted, I had £135 day into £116 into a £97. So this is where I made the video. The next day I made the beginning of this video. £241, £491, £305, and then today I've already done £160 and it's 11 o'clock. So does eBay know? Do they pick up on the fact that your listings have been duplicated somewhere else online, and then they try and pump those listings to more viewers to try and sell them before they sell on other platforms? I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory I don't know the answer to. However, there was a massive uptick in my eBay sales starting the same day I moved everything over to Vinted. So maybe it's just a coincidence. We'll have to wait and find out. Not that we're ever going to know, to be honest, but there we go. So I've done decent sales on Vinted so far. Well and truly covered my fee for having crosslist.com moving everything over. All right, we are back and the stats are in. The final results from the little experiment with Vinted. So obviously from the beginning of the video, cross-listing all of my electronic items over to my Vinted account, and in 1 week, what did I do on Vinted? So I sold 5 items on Vinted in a week. That doesn't sound like a lot. However, the value may shock you, because for a start, I will say that these items are items that have been listed on eBay for a while and they have not sold over on eBay. So the fact that they have actually shifted on Vinted and they have all now been delivered. However, I am waiting for 2 of the balances to be able to be withdrawn, but currently I have £145 in my active balance, which means I can withdraw that, and also 180 in my pending balance. So that means a total of £325 and 98 pence from Vinted sales over 5 items. So let me just up the desk here and I'll show you those 5 items. So in the same time on eBay, I did do £2,750 worth of sales, and probably around at least half of that would have also been electronics and stuff like that. So about £1,300 would have been at least electronics. So I've gained an extra 320 odd pounds in a week from Vinted, a platform that I don't normally use, on an account that is not active, and an account that's only had about 45 to 50 previous sales. So obviously, if you've had thousands or hundreds of sales on Vinted, your account's going to be more active, probably going to get pushed more by their algorithm over there, and it would probably net you more sales going forward. But yeah, let's get up Vinted. I did have one problem on Vinted with an item, was marked as delivered. However, the customer said it wasn't delivered, but what actually happened was it was dropped off at the Royal Mail depot rather than their house. So I spoke to the customer and they have now collected that, and it's showing as collected. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it all gets sorted out. I have contacted Vinted, but so far they've just ignored me about the situation. So that's annoying, because that is a £120 item. However, that should all get sorted out because it has now been delivered. So after 3 days of them collecting, it should get resolved, I would presume, and that will then go into my active balance as well. So let's look at all of these. So one item was cancelled for £55 the day I was going to ship it. They decided that they did not want the item, but other than that, here are the items here. So we have a G-Tech here, £50, which has been completed. We have a small Tiffany lamp for £40, which has been completed. This is the weird situation one, £120. It says order suspended. It's not actually like been deleted or anything like that, as far as I can tell. It's still going forward, but it says it can take a while to sort things out. But that is the one that has now been picked up from the drop-off location or whatever. This is the one that got cancelled for £55. This Dyson here for £55.99 complete, and I have the money available for withdrawal. And another one here which has been picked up yesterday and is should get delivered today or tomorrow, hopefully. So then that one will also go into my balance, which can be withdrawn. So yeah, so it would have cost me about £20 for crosslist.com if you use code SLOTH for a whole month, and that is to move your items over to whichever platforms you want. I showed them earlier on in the video. So for £20 I have gained about £300 worth of sales here, or yeah, after you take the £20 off the 320, about £300. However, that is not the main thing I want to talk about at the end of this video, because this little experiment has got me thinking. The day, and I mean the day, that I moved my items over to Vinted, my eBay sales doubled, and they stayed doubled the whole time. Nothing else changed. I didn't drop the prices on eBay. I didn't change the titles. I didn't relist anything. Nothing changed. I didn't open a sale. I didn't change a discount or a coupon code or anything like that. Nothing changed on eBay other than the fact that I had actually moved my items over to Vinted. And the items that started to sell on eBay at twice the pace were also the items that I moved over to Vinted. Now bear in mind, I didn't move my entire stock. I only moved the electronics. And those were the ones that started to sell at a rapid pace on eBay. So I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, and this might be something that's impossible, but I'm thinking that eBay has a system that searches, because I know there's these things out there that can do like calls for information on the entire web. I think they have a service out there, or they have a program within eBay that checks for duplicated listings. Because my listings that went onto Vinted had the same titles, the same descriptions, the same photos from eBay, because obviously Crosslist.com just takes my listing 100% as it is and plonks it over wherever I want. I think eBay's system is picking up the fact that these are the same items and then pushing them harder on eBay because they obviously want their cut. Oh no, they're going to sell it over somewhere else, which obviously is not against their terms of service. You're totally allowed to do that. So what would their response be other than to try and get that sale before it happens somewhere else? because I can't explain this in any other way other than the fact that eBay somehow knew. Maybe it was the fact that Crosslist went in and grabbed the listings. Maybe they can see that. I don't know. I don't think so, because the API that they would be using is just open for everybody to use. Obviously, it needs access to your eBay account to grab the listings and stuff. But I seriously think they have a system that, I don't know whether it targets other sales platforms or whether it just does a search or whatever it's doing, but there must be some way for them to know that I ended up listing all of those items on another platform. It's the only way, because I wonder if I can look at my performance. Okay, so it doesn't look like much has changed on here, but the overall stats do look better, because in the last 30 days we're up 21% on impressions, 20% on listing views, 37% up on quantity sold. There we go, see, I wasn't lying. Sales conversion rate is up 14.5%. My organic is up 8.2%. Promoted is up 34%. Now bear in mind, I've not changed my promoted percent, and I've not promoted anything in any other way for this to go up. So it does seem like something happened here with my promoted. Maybe they started showing my listings higher, I'm not sure. But yeah, look at this number, 37.8% increase within this time scale. Now we did have this little lull here. I don't know what happened here. My promotions turned off for some reason by the looks of that on the 9th and 10th, because promoted is the lighter blue here. So I'm not sure what happened there. That was just before I started filming this content, so I'm not sure what that's about, because I didn't get a drop off in sales on that day, I don't think. So that's interesting. But as you can see, these are slightly above what's over here, but not massively. But it is kind of trailing up. It's hard to tell. But there we go. That's impressions. If we go to listed views, that also doesn't look incredibly skewed. But there we go. Look, promoted listings, views on eBay and the eBay network up 76%. Promoted off-site, I don't do that, so that's still 0. And external organic views off eBay was up 23%. So I don't know where those views were coming from. Maybe from my YouTube channel, people clicking on my link, I'm not sure. But again, organic stayed the same. So something definitely happened with promoted, which is interesting because I didn't do anything. And then obviously my quantity sold massively increased, and over the last few days it has trailed off because I've not done anything on Vinted. So what I'm going to do next week is I'm going to do a round 2. It's now trailing off my sales because I've not cross-listed anything since. So if I do another batch today or tomorrow and come back in a week, will this suddenly go back up again? Because this has happened once and it's now trailing off. Is it going to go again if I do a batch 2? That is what I'm interested in. So yeah, not only did I bag £320 worth of sales on Vinted in a week, which I wouldn't have had before. I wouldn't have had those on eBay, and I know that pretty much for sure because those items that sold weren't new listings. They've been listed for a while. So yeah, basically an extra £320 in my pocket for no extra work. And also it has done something to my eBay sales, which is very strange, but I'm not complaining. But yeah, now with my sales going back down to where they were previously, I am thinking maybe I do it again. I've listed quite a lot more electronics since, so I could probably get another 20 items up, 30 items up. Maybe it's something going forward where I upload 10 items a day to Vinted as well that are previously listed on eBay, and maybe that will keep whatever's going on here going. Maybe it keeps seeing, look, he's still posting this elsewhere, we need to keep promoting this on our website to get this money, to get these sales here. I don't know, maybe I'm just looking into this and this is all one massive coincidence, I'm not sure. But if you yourself are going to get into Crosslist and give it a go for yourself, keep me posted in the comments or on Discord or whatever. If this same situation happens where your eBay sales massively increase after you've cross-listed, let me know, because this is weird. Now obviously I did this little video to see what would happen on Vinted. I wasn't expecting a massive influx on eBay as well, so yeah, it will be interesting to see if anyone else has this happen. But yeah, I've got 26 items to now go pull and make a video of, so I'm going to end this here. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, if you want to do Crosslist, crosslist.com, in this description below, at sign up, use code SLOTH, all capital letters, and you'll get 30% off at checkout. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.